Have you ever wondered how a conflict as catastrophic as World War II could have ignited? In the aftermath of the First World War, the Treaty of Versailles was born. Its primary goal was to keep peace, but ironically, it planted the seeds of another, even more devastating conflict. Germany, burdened by heavy reparations and territorial losses, was left in a state of economic and political instability. This discontent laid the groundwork for the rise of an ambitious and ruthless leader, Adolf Hitler. Hitler, with his charismatic speeches and promises of a better future, managed to sway the German people. His aggressive policies directly violated the Treaty of Versailles, but the world watched in silence, unknowingly, on the brink of a disastrous war. Then, in September of 1939, Hitler's army invaded Poland. It was the final straw that broke the camel's back, forcing the world to take action. And so, in 1939, the world plunged into a war that would forever change the course of history. The early years of the war saw a series of rapid victories by the Axis powers. In the West, nothing seemed to stand in their way. France, a country known for its military prowess, fell within 6 weeks of the German onslaught, a shocking defeat that sent tremors across the globe. But the Axis powers didn't stop there. They turned their sights towards Britain, sparking a ferocious aerial combat that history remembers as the Battle of Britain. Meanwhile, the war was spreading to new fronts. Africa became a battleground, with both sides vying for control. The Eastern Front too expanded as Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the largest military invasion in history against the Soviet Union. These early victories painted a grim picture, leading many to believe that the Axis powers were unstoppable. Despite these early victories, the Axis powers were about to face a formidable resistance. 1942 was a pivotal year in World War II, marking a significant turning point in the conflict. The tide of war started to shift, and it was during this year that we witnessed some of the most decisive battles. Let's begin with the Battle of Midway. In June 1942, off the coast of the tiny atoll in the Pacific Ocean, the United States and Japan engaged in a confrontation that would alter the course of the Pacific War. The Japanese had planned to eliminate the United States as a strategic power in the Pacific, but the Americans, having broken the Japanese naval code, were ready and waiting. In the ensuing battle, the Japanese lost 4 aircraft carriers, a blow from which they never fully recovered. Meanwhile, on the Eastern Front, the Battle of Stalingrad was unfolding. It was a brutal, bitter struggle between the Soviet Union and Nazi Germany, starting in the late summer of 1942 and extending into the frigid grasp of the Russian winter. The city of Stalingrad became a symbol of resistance and resilience as the Red Army held the line against the Nazi onslaught. By February 1943, the German 6th Army was defeated, marking the first major defeat of Hitler's forces. As the year drew to a close, the Allies initiated Operation Torch, the invasion of North Africa. In November 1942, British and American forces landed in Morocco and Algeria, aiming to squeeze the Axis powers out of Africa. This operation marked the first major offensive by the Allies against the Axis and symbolized the strengthening of the Allied forces. Each of these battles, in their own way, signaled a shift in the balance of power. The once seemingly invincible Axis powers began to show signs of vulnerability. The Allies, after a series of heavy blows, started to punch back. The year 1942 was indeed a turning point, a moment when the tide of war began to turn. From this point forward, the Allies began to regain their momentum. As the war entered its final years, the Allies pushed towards victory. The stage was set for one of the most pivotal moments in history, the D-Day invasion. On the 6th of June 1944, the Allies launched an audacious assault on the beaches of Normandy. The largest amphibious invasion in history, it marked a significant turning point, signaling the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. Yet, the road to victory was far from easy. Later that year, in the dead of winter, the Axis powers launched a surprise counter-offensive in the Ardennes forest. This engagement, known as the Battle of the Bulge, was the last major German offensive on the Western Front. Despite the initial shock, the Allies rallied, withstood the assault, and pushed back, further weakening the Axis grip on Europe. By the spring of 1945, the Allies had advanced into Germany, swiftly moving towards the heart of the Third Reich, Berlin. The city fell on the 2nd of May, effectively ending the war in Europe. Yet, the conflict continued to rage on in the Pacific. To bring about the end of the war, the Allies made the fateful decision to use a new, terrifying weapon. In August of 1945, atomic bombs were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The devastation was unimaginable, and the human toll was tragic. The bombings forced Japan to surrender, bringing the long, brutal conflict to a close. The triumph of the Allies was not without its costs. The world had been forever changed by the horrors of the war, and the shadow of the atomic bomb loomed large over the future. Yet, in the face of adversity, the Allies had prevailed, demonstrating the strength of unity and the enduring power of the human spirit. In 1945, after years of devastating warfare, World War II came to an end. The aftershocks of World War II were felt long after the guns fell silent. In the wake of destruction, the world sought a new order, a pathway to peace. This pursuit led to the establishment of the United Nations, a beacon of hope for international cooperation and conflict resolution. But even as the world worked towards unity, divisions were deepening. The ideological chasm between the United States and the Soviet Union marked the beginning of the Cold War, a silent battle waged in the shadows of diplomacy and the corridors of power. Simultaneously, the world map was being redrawn. The decolonization of Africa and Asia signaled the end of imperial dominance as nations shook off the shackles of colonial rule, stepping into the dawn of independence. World War II left an indelible mark on the world, shaping the course of the 20th century and beyond. It was a testament to the resilience of humanity, a grim reminder of our capacity for destruction, and a call to strive for peace.